So I'm Ruth Bull, working for Transforming Lives Together on the eastern side of the diocese, and over to my colleague Wendy, who's my line manager, and she's just going to talk very briefly about the work of TLT, Transforming Lives Together.
Yeah, so I think most of you know about us and what we do, but we just wanted to remind you that we're here for you, to support you to get engaged with your communities. So Transforming Lives Together is an independent charity, but we work in partnership with Chester Cathedral, and we're one of several members of a Together network, which is run by the Church Urban Fund, a national organisation. So that's really great resource for us because we share ideas, and one of the things that some of you are running, Places of Welcome, that came from one of our colleagues in Birmingham. So it's fantastic to be part of a group that can learn from each other. And up here in the diocese, we specialise, I think, in loneliness, isolation, inequality and poverty. So as you can imagine, what we're talking about today, community, kind of connects all those things together. Just a couple of things that we wanted to raise that we think you might be interested in. I won't take too much of the time, but if you want to go to our website, which is brand new and looks fabulous, it's got lots of information about all the things that we're doing on there, and have a look. If there's anything you want to know more about, get in touch with us. But we've got something called Energy for Life going this winter, which is a project that we're doing in partnership with Citizens Advice. And we've employed they've employed in partnership with us 2 full-time energy advisors who will be going out delivering workshops to churches and groups in churches across the diocese. So if you're interested in one of the energy advisors coming to your church to spend some time with one of your groups, or even if you've got a group of volunteers and staff who'd like to join a workshop, it might be that you link with other churches and invite the energy advisor to talk to a few of you at the same time. But if you can contact either Ruth or I and let us know if you're interested, we'll pass on your information to the energy advisors and they'll contact you directly. The other thing I wanted to mention, I know some of you already are Places of Welcome, but for those of you who are operating as a warm hub this winter, we'd really encourage you to join our Place of Welcome network if you're going to finish at the end of winter, because the Places of Welcome are open all year round, 1 day a week, and it's very easy to run it, as I'm sure that everyone will testify who's doing it. But I hope you'd say it was easy anyway. It's interesting. And all you have to do is open your doors once a week and provide free refreshments. And it's a really easy way to get people into the church, and a really easy way to make contact with your community and to develop relationships. So that's just a couple of things that we're doing at the moment, especially in response to the cost of living crisis. But there's lots of other things going on. So do have a look at our website. And as I say, get in touch with Ruth or I if you want to know anything else. Okay, back to you. Thanks, Wendy.
And just to say, Places of Welcome doesn't have to be a whole day. It's, Emma has actually just started it as a whole day, brave woman. But a lot of Places of Welcome are only open for 1.5 hours to 2 hours a week, but they make a very big impact where they're operating. So I'm just quickly going to set a bit of the scene with a poem that I heard recently. I don't know, Pam, were you at that warm hub, the council warm hub?
No, Anna went.
No, well, I've amended it slightly, but I just thought it just sets the scene quite well. And it's to be or not to be, but it's to eat or not to eat or to heat. That is the question. Whether 'tis better to eat to make my heart still beat, but away freeze my stiffening bones in my own home, for lack of heat gives pause for thought. It ought not to have come to this, to eat or to heat. Perchance I could do both. Alas, I cannot. It comes to pass that I must choose one, but not the other. Unlike those brotherly shareholders who rub their grubby hands together like demons in the night, where is the light of hope that gives succour and hope and scope to the voiceless like us? To some beans means hinds, but come, let us find an alternative on the shelves of despair. Does government care know what real hunger is? Can they hear the empty stomachs rumble? Do they fear the grumble of insurrection? This isn't Ethiopia or Eritrea. It's the Eastlands and East Ham. Not feasting here, just its self-enforced fasting while the lights go out. Who planted this seed of inflation, which grows higher each day, producing only thorns and thistles for consumption? Some help themselves and steal what food they can. Others join queues at food banks where deposits grow thin and withdrawals reveal the state of our nation as the economy tanks, but ministers blow raspberries and disappear off on a donor's paid vacation. Where is the fire of hope to raise food inequality to the ground? Time for Jesus to return, burn the conglomerates, the cartels that corrupt. Set up a vast bakery, churn out 5,000 loaves a second. A reckoning for Hovis and Warburtons. To eat or to heat, that is the question. When gas and lecky prices go through the roof, who is left to grasp the truth of cost or the cost of truth? Of honesty squeezed like a weeping lemon from dividends, where power companies are a shower of shysters hiding in their ivory tower, gone suddenly blind and deaf. To the poor, the hungry, the weak, who seek only the comfort of heating, the necessity of eating, and so the want goes on. To heat or eat, that is the question. So I heard that poem. It's by a guy called Andy Milliken, a Stockport poet, about an event about warm hubs. And I amended it just a bit to remove a few swear words, but I thought it does paint a little bit of an image or a picture of the bleak situation for so many. But for us as the church, I think, if we're looking for inspiration, there's nothing more profound than Jesus's words in Matthew 25. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. And then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? And the king will reply, truly, I tell you, whatever you did for the least one of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it for me. So I think that's our mandate, really, isn't it? That we're doing it for Jesus. And so we're just going to hear from, we may as well all share, actually, then, our experience of sharing a hot meal. So I'm going to go over to Pam first, because she is actually meant to be in her warm hub this afternoon.
I'm hiding in the vestry.
Oh, bless you, Pam. Thank you so much for coming on.
No, it's okay.
So, Pam, if you'd just like to share one joy, one encouragement that you've had, maybe just share where you are and what you do.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm actually involved in two warm spaces. So in church, we actually had planned to do something midweek for a while, because we have a midweek communion at 10:30 that finishes around about 11:15, and people would stay for coffee. And it was a case of we really wanted to have those doors open. We have big red iconic doors and they're nearly always shut, and it just sends the wrong message. So we, as part of Stockport, we applied for a grant under the Cost of Living Warm Spaces initiative, and got £1,000. So we are halving that between food and activities and heating. And we opened at the beginning of November. So we're open 12 till 3 every Wednesday. We have various activities out that people can do, crafts and jigsaws and board games. But more importantly, we have soup, and it's just tin soup. You know, we have either chicken and then we have vegetable or tomatoes. We have a choice. We have some bread, teas and coffees, and people tend to sit together. We put some big tables out, because initially we just had people sat on the cafe style tables, but it was like, we're not really getting the fellowship. So we've actually put 2 big tables up and people are sitting together and eating together. And that is really an important part of what we wanted to achieve. And people can stay as little or as long as they want to. And what helps is, because I'm the community manager, I know a lot of people. So we were getting quite a few people in. So the joys are amazing. It's amazing things that happen when the doors are open to your church. People come in. Isn't that interesting? So we've had quite a number of people who have always wanted to come in, and they've come and had a look round, and they've not always stayed, but they've come and looked and been very welcomed. We've introduced isolated people with other people. We've had a couple of men today just chatting. I've introduced them and they've just had a really good chin wag. A lovely lady's come in. She saw our poster in the co-op and came for some soup, had a lovely chat. She found out we had a midweek communion service and said, oh, I didn't know that. What time did it start? I'll be here next week. So she's going to come next week. So we are having people alongside us. I've got 2 ladies from the community, not churchgoers. Both of them want to come and help serve soup and wash up. So I think that is that whole, the whole Theos report, they're getting alongside the social action. I think that is a real joy. I think the challenge for us is knowing how much soup to make, to put in and things like that. But yeah, we've had mums and babies right through to people on multibility scooters. It's just been lovely having them in the church. We're able to share all the other things that are going on in the area. It's important that they know that there's something nearly every day. So I've just mapped out a whole week for one of these ladies, wrote it all down for her, and there's literally something every day that she can go to. And some of the people have said, I'm actually not here because of the food. I'm actually here because I'm on my own and I'm really lonely. And that's been just heartbreaking. But these friendships, you never know. You plant the seed, it could continue. And I think we do hope to continue once this grant runs out at the end of March. The other place I'm involved with, that's St Matthew's Church in Edgeley. But I'm also a project leader for, it's not a church project, it's just a project called Friendly Fridays. And that's down in Cheadle Heath. It's every Friday 10 till 3. We're also a warm space, so we are open and we're completely free now until the end of March. That is a big community project. We can have, in the summer, we topped 1,000 people in 5 weeks. So although it is not a church thing, everybody knows I'm from St Matthew's, and I've had amazing conversations. I've prayed with people have asked me, how do I get a Bible, how do I read the Bible, tell me a bit more about Jesus. And I'm always, even though I'm out and about, I'm from St Matthew's. They know first and foremost that's where I'm from. So we also have it's an idea for you, we have a donation station at Friendly Fridays, which is basically just a clothes rack or a table, and people can just bring anything to warm, blankets, jumpers, coats, and then people can just go and shop and help themselves. And we've filled it and emptied it twice in 4 weeks. And I've just got a big donation of coats actually through the Baptist Church that's going to go down there on Friday. So these are just little things. It's all about bringing people together and being inclusive. We have people at Friendly Fridays who are missing limbs. We've got all ages. We've got people with learning disabilities. One of our volunteers is deaf. So it really is about seeing our community. We've built a community in our community, and that's what we want to see here in church, that we have built a community in our community. I want to see everybody in this space, and that's our goal, is that if you're not sure who's missing, go and stand in the car park of your local supermarket. And if you see people walking past that you don't see in church, that's who's missing. All right, I'm going to stop talking now because I can get really carried away.
Pam, one word of advice
to
somebody who's looking on thinking, that sounds like a big project. What is one word of advice that you would give?
Start with what you already have. If you've already got something, do that and just build on it slowly. Don't expect, we're building really slowly. The most we've had is 15. On a Wednesday here. But I will say as well, the really boring stuff is just make sure you meet the health and safety stuff. That if you're using a ladle, it's not sat there for 20 minutes, going cold, and you're sticking it back in hot soup. It's a low risk, but let's not poison anybody. Always a good thing.
Yeah.
Wendy, can you say something on that note about the resources that we've got on our Places of Welcome website on health and safety and stuff? There is information there, isn't there?
Yeah, we've got access to a Dropbox, which is national information, and it's got links to safeguarding and health and safety and food hygiene, all that sort of thing. So if you're needing a bit of help with that, or with doing a risk assessment, anything like that, let us know and we'll send you the link to the I'm sure they won't mind us sharing those resources. That's absolutely fine.
Oh,
so
that's
just
great.
We want you all to become places of welcome anyway, because you're already
Definitely.
I like the idea about having the clothes rail and the blankets and things. I think that's a lovely idea.
Because we often, as a church and as a church leader, I'm out in the community a lot, and people often say, oh, Pam, I've got this. Do you know anybody who wants it? And whatever that is, as long as it fits in my car, my answer is usually yes. And I'll just stick it in a garage until I find out. Because a lot of people want to give, they just don't know how or who or where. So if you can be that link, it's amazing what will happen. It really is. I've got a garage full of children's clothes at the moment, which I will pass on. And, you know, just it's a great way of linking those two things together.
Thanks so much, Pam. Thank you so much. You are welcome to go if you need to.
I think I will. If that's okay, I'm really sorry. I will watch the recording. I think I need to go and help Mike now. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Pam.
Bye-bye. Bye.
So over to Johnny.
We've got two things going on. One wasn't initially started as a warm place, a warm space. We started a community meal that we were doing once a month, and we did that from April this year, and that's really been built on the work that I've been doing. And we've got an intern program now where we've been going around the local estate, just making relationships with people, and then that's been through an invitation only. So they'd come and sit and have a hot meal with us once a month. And the whole idea of that was that we would get to know them that little bit better, and knowing their situations, we'd have people around to sit with them and chat with them. So the key to that actual space is that we have 2 or 3 people helping in the kitchen. Nobody else helps in the kitchen. We have about another 8 or 9 people who are literally only there to eat and to speak with the people. So it's really focusing on building that relationship. How can we help them? What they're struggling with. So that wasn't really set up as a warm space, because that started several months ago. But we've started something about 6 weeks ago we've got a new community hub just outside the church, and we've advertised that all around the area in all the sort of wider Macclesfield area. There's quite a few different warm spaces going on in Macclesfield, but I think Pam just highlighted we've had about I think the most we've had is 17. But every time you ask them, it's not about the warm space. It's about the isolation, the loneliness, and company. Somewhere where they can come and meet and sit with people. The warmth is great, and we've been doing that from 12 till 4. What we have seen is not many people come at 12 o'clock. It's almost like around dinner time, it just doesn't work. But then about 1:30, they all traipse in, and we've got all sorts of different age groups. So we've been very careful in the way we've advertised it, in terms of making sure it's known that it's for everyone. So we have young parents coming in with toddlers. So that's actually quite good when older people come and they can hold the baby, and it sort of gets the community feeling going anyway. And people that we know already who are struggling get invited as well. So that's working well. And I think the thing to be creative is, my wife Jenny was given some craft stuff just yesterday. So this week I've just left them now. It's going on now. They're making Christmas cards. And one guy I'm working with in the community said, "Oh, these are great. I could do with some of these, but I haven't got any money at the moment." And he says, "Oh, they're not for sale. You can." So he's gone away with 6 Christmas cards that he can give to his neighbours. But we sat around this table he was there for an hour with some other people, just chatting about his dog that had died and what he's struggling with. And again, those relationships are building, but in a really warm, welcoming space. The big thing I think we struggle with is the volunteers. Many of the people in our church are either out at work, doing the normal 9 till 5. So to try and sort of police that and govern it well, we're struggling to, do that well in terms of volunteers. And we're always asking for volunteers. And I think you'd probably all agree, churches all over are struggling with volunteers over COVID. A lot of people have moved on. They've either got new commitments and they've got out of that routine. So that's something we're really struggling with. And one thing we found last week is we did something and people had volunteered to come, but then literally an hour before said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've got something else on," and didn't turn up, which is really frustrating when you're trying to do those sort of things. But we don't do a hot meal on the Wednesday. We literally just have tea and coffee and cakes, biscuits. And to be honest, that seems to go well. They just want to come and have a chat. And what we thought would happen is that we sort of set it out in little tables, like a bit of a cafe. But pretty much every single time it's happened, we've all come together in this one big group around, and everyone's just pitching in and chatting about anything. So, a 5-year-old that's come after school, or an 8-year-old who's come just for the day to hop in. So I think does that give you a bit of...
That's brilliant, Johnny. Thank you. Both of those things also work well together, don't they? And Yeah, brilliant. It's
Brilliant.
actually quite a standard place of welcome, that, Johnny. So I have talked to Jenny about maybe getting in touch about that. But yeah, it'd be great. But it sounds brilliant. And I mean, at TLT, one thing that we do with the volunteers, over time, you'll probably find that the people who are attending want to get up and help serve others cups of tea. And
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
At the community meal, that's happened, that now people are helping in the kitchen, because the big usual strap line is, well, you help me, I want to help others.
Yeah.
It just passes on. So it is really good to see that happen.
That's great. So one word of advice, Johnny, that you give somebody who's thinking about any of this?
Advice. Don't go too big too soon. We said, well, we'll do it one day every week. And we were like, thinking about it, it would have been madness. It would have just been manning something that people would turn up with. So having one a week, doing it really well, pays off, because people are prioritized now. It's Wednesday. Oh yeah, well, I'll be here for Wednesday. And I think the most, and you all know this, it's the welcome. So we have people hovering around outside, because many people have come, especially to our community meal, have come and got to the bottom of the path up to church, and they've walked off. So we've had to run down and say, Ed, come back, it's okay. And some of them have actually texted me, say, Johnny, I'm outside, I don't want to come in on my own. But having someone outside to bring them in and say, oh, this is such a buddy, come and sit down, has just made it so much more easy for them. And I suppose I know I do, been in church for pretty much all my life, take for granted what a big step it is, either to come onto the church grounds, whatever, through the front door is a huge thing. So the welcome and the goodbye is, don't see them out, just don't see you now, but literally see them to the door. It's really good to see you, come back again. And the leaflet. So we were in the community where we work, you say email, nobody has an email, literally. Many of them don't even have a text message. It's a basic phone. So we always have a flyer on the way in and the way out, so they can have it, put it on the fridge and just remind them. And we regularly then get the numbers of people, as long as they're happy. And we would regularly text people, say, don't forget, it's on today at 12, because they always forget. Always forget. At the community meal, we'd serve this. So this Christmas, on next Monday, we're doing a turkey, sort of hot turkey sandwiches and stuff. So at like 4 o'clock on Monday afternoon, I'll go through the list and text everyone. And the majority, 50% of them go, oh, I forgot. Yeah, I'll be there. So it's keeping on top of that, really. So, yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you, Johnny. That challenge for contact beforehand as well is a good one. Wendy.
Sorry, just a quick one about volunteers, Johnny. I think what Ruth was saying about guests becoming volunteers is fantastic, because they start feeling that they belong then. I mean, would you be open to non-Christian volunteers coming from a voluntary organisation, or would you prefer them to be?
No, definitely. I mean, what we find now is, as well, you've heard the word asset-based. What I don't want to do is fill my church with Christian people from the congregation who don't live in the community, which many of ours do. So half the people who are helping now live on the estate, have come along and now are helping. So they're even better. They're going, oh, well, I've met my next door neighbour, they want to come. So they're driving it forward because they're part of the community. So no, they don't have to be a Christian at all. Most of the people that come to the community meal, especially, and the drop-in, aren't Christian in the slightest. We just want to build that relationship, be the place where they come to for help and assistance.
That sounds fantastic. So if you are open, I know that the CVS in Cheshire East has volunteering opportunity websites. You can put your opportunity on there, and if you're needing more volunteers, you can advertise.
Yeah.
So
I think the problem is because Mac's quite big and there's a lot of churches and organisations. I think there's so much going on, and that's what we were conscious of not putting on it Monday to Saturday all week, because there's loads happening. And I think, Ruth will know, we've got this thing called Create. They do things sort of 4 days a week all around. So I think we're conscious that we don't want to steal from people, but we'll look into that definitely. But there is a lot going on, and a lot of people are volunteering at different things. So
I get that. Thank you.
Emma, tell us where you're up to and what you're doing.
Thank
you, Johnny. Sorry, thank you very much.
We started a place of warm welcome beginning of November, so 3rd November. So it's been running a month now. Tomorrow will be our fourth session, which is it's an entirely new thing for my church, and it sort of it came sort of in tandem with doing the Growing Good course. Actually, we were going to do that anyway, and then the people that started doing the Growing Good course actually really got fired up about doing something, and at the same time there was kind of noises being made about place of welcome. So it kind of just it came out of that really, and we just went we went straight in 2 feet, 9 to 5 on a Thursday, and Thursday was a day where already we have communion, and then in the morning, and then babes and tots upstairs in the afternoon. So the church was sort of pretty much open for a fair amount of that day anyway. So that was a sensible one to kind of hook it onto. But yeah, so we sort of committed to opening 9 to 5. We might have to pull that back a little bit, because what we're finding, it's funny how it's sort of you get a transition through the day. So far, I'd hoped we'd scoop in parents on, because they use our car park to do drop off at school. So my assumption was they would come in and have a cup of tea after drop off, and that would be lovely, rather than standing in the car park and talking, which they do. Nobody's come in yet, apart from one lady with 2 dogs, and that's another issue, kind of what to do with dogs. We love dogs, but these are wandering around. So no new dog.
Not ours.
Or dog sitting.
Sorry, don't let me get distraction. We're on record.
So it kind of raises some issues about how to manage things. So so the morning session, not really doing anything, and then people have started to come for the 11 o'clock who weren't coming, who thought, right, we'll come for that, and then we'll stay on, and then we do soup 12 till 1. So actually from about 11:30, 12:15, that's when it starts picking up, and people come in, sort of drift in between 12 and 1:30 and have soup, and then we just keep it on the go during the afternoon. And then we are picking up some families after school who come in, and the kids have a snack. And again, this is just all completely organic. It's sort of turning into a little bit of a homework club. So it's just sitting with the kids, because the parents that we're getting aren't parents that engage with their children brilliantly. They want to be there, and they want to be part of sort of stuff that's going on, but there's no kind of modelling. So we've ended up sitting with the children, doing homework with them, reading with them, all that kind of thing, making sure they have a snack, and parents have soup and cups of tea and whatever. So that's quite nice, but there's been some challenges with that. And then what we're finding is by 4:30, actually the kids have had a full day in school. The parents sort of don't want to go, because they don't want to go home to a lonely, cold house, but the children have had enough. So I think that's why we need to actually bring it back to 4:30 and start winding down from 4:15, really, for the children's sake more than anything. But yeah, so it's kind of been a really good start. Some things are working really well, and other things are providing a little bit of a challenge. And if school parents don't want to come in, and we're not going to attract them in, we might have to rethink about when we do open. There's no point being open from 9 o'clock if nobody's ever going to come. But some other things we can try first, just to encourage people just to come in.
Brilliant. Emma, I'd love it as well if you would share about your soup, what's happening with the soup.
Yeah. But the whole thing is really lovely, actually. So like a lot of us, I applied to, we're Tameside, so I applied to Tameside Winter Pressure Grant that came out. Not heard a dicky bird, apart from an email last week saying there's a lot of applications, so we're still processing them. So that really wasn't needed to start, and we still hadn't got anything through. So we've got this grant in our charity, I don't know what you call it, in our fund anyway. It isn't part of the church, but it's a lady who in the 1940s went to the church, who then bequeathed some money for the poor of Staley Bridge, called Florence Sharpley. But that's all we know about her. And that's kind of a pot of money that's useful if people are really needy. You can apply to that. And we've kind of used little pockets of it every now and then, but it's not really, people don't come in droves for it. So I then applied to that for £1,000 to cover our heating costs and food, so we can get all that for free. So it's lovely that a lady from the church many years ago. This money's now been used to literally help the poor of Stalybridge. And with that money, we pay Five a Day, who's our veg shop down in Stalybridge, to put together a veg box for us. That's then taken up to Copley Secondary School, which is just up the road from us. And they've got a group of kids who stay after school on a Wednesday. They'll be doing it today. They prep all that veg and then cook it Thursday morning, and then we go and collect it 10:30 and feed it to possibly some of the parents of these kids. And another lovely thing, I don't know whether you probably won't be aware, but in the summer there was a real tragic drowning in a mill pond just up the road from church. And one of these, the girl that drowned goes to this school, or went to the school, Copley, and a lot of the kids are still really struggling with that. And it turns out these are the kids that have opted to stay and prep the vegetables. And it's kind of, they're the kids that don't want to engage in normal lessons, but they're doing this. And so that's been really good for them. So it's just like a really beautiful kind of circle of.
That's brilliant.
And they're doing really good soup. I was worried that it might taste horrible.
I've tried it twice.
Oh, it's delicious.
Wendy tried it as well last week.
It's really
Brilliant.
good. So Emma, where did you say you got the vegetables from again?
Five a Day. It's our vegetable shop down in Stalybridge. It's
Okay.
lady called Kareen. Yeah.
That's great that it's the community and the school and the church.
Yeah. And one of our readers, Jacinta, she works down in the veg shop. So
Okay.
she kind of helps orchestrate that. Yeah.
And
so,
another one works in the school, another one of your readers.
and Helen, yes, Helen, my other reader, works in Copley Academy. And actually Copley, ever since I've arrived here, I've been trying to make contact with them and just really not got anywhere. But all of a sudden, and this came out of the Growing Good course, where we were talking about this is what we can't get into Copley, and we did pray, and then all of a sudden everything shifted, and I've been in to see the head and the deputy head, and then with this lady from the home ec department out of the blue phoned me to say, oh, are you doing anything? I want to do some sort of social action with the kids. And it was just about the time when we were thinking about this. So I said, what about soup? And she's like a home ec teacher. And she went, yeah, we'll do that. So it's just the way it's worked is just amazing.
Brilliant. Thank you. Any word of advice, Emma?
I suppose it's being flexible, really. Flexible, because we didn't really know what to expect. You have an idea in your mind about how it's going to go. And it hasn't really gone that way. But that's not bad. And so it's just sort of adjusting and being adaptable.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
Can I just add something there? Is that right? Just because what we noticed, if you're going to set something up, is that originally we said we were going to do our drop-in from 12 till 5. And I don't know what the technical term is, but it's like doorknob disclosure, isn't it? What we were finding is if we were late until 5 o'clock, someone, like at a food bank, someone rocks up at 5 o'clock and he's in a desperate need. You're thinking, we're about to lock up now. It's not really helpful. So we changed it to 4 with a view that we'll always be there till 5, because you're always going to get someone who comes in a really bit of a state or something. And you think, oh, you know, for us, we've got kids to juggle and stuff. But if we know someone or people are going to be around till 5 afterwards, you're not such a rush to get away, but you are there for the person who comes in need or something. So maybe to think about if you're setting one up soon.
That's helpful.
Brilliant. Thank you. I'm going to hand over to Andy now.
Great. So yeah, so we've been just for 4 weeks running something called CommuniTea, and took inspiration from Johnny and did a flyer. So that's our
That's better than ours.
That's lovely. Of course it's better than ours.
Oh, come on. So yeah, so it's billed as a warm, welcoming space to meet and chat over a free hot meal. No need to book, just turn up, and open to all ages. So yeah, we've got posters up, and so yeah, it's in response, of course, to the fuel and food poverty headlines that were kind of around post summer, and also in recognition of increasing isolation of people. I think isolation is an issue where we are anyway, but post COVID, just in recognition that a lot of people have struggled to re-engage with community life. So it was trying to sort of hit all of that. We wanted it to be really distinct from anything that we'd done before. Not a criticism of things that have been done before, but I guess sort of parish lunches and things like that have hit a need initially, but maybe lost their way. And so we sort of wanted to relaunch with a clear focus as to why we're doing this. And we wanted a clearly defined team that we met with for, in the end, we did 4 weeks of team building, based it around the Growing Good course, the Church Urban Fund, which is actually a 6-week course. We kind of paired it into 4 weeks. In fact, I found it incredibly helpful to lean on a lot of that material. And I think I would say that we were probably aiming for setting the right culture rather than finding the right strategy for this venture, really. And we sensed, if the culture was right, warm, welcoming, and just a loving, accepting culture, then we could probably go a long way with this. I would say the Growing Good course, the best week for us was the hospitality week, and in particular 3 things that began to, I think, undergird the whole culture of what we were trying to embed. And there were 3 points in that session. One is to guard against becoming paternal. They described it, where it's the church doing it for the community, and there's that distance. So we kind of wrestled through and recognized that we wanted the culture of, a faith culture doing it, but also wanted to resist that, we're doing it for the community, and actually be open to community involvement, whether people of faith or not. And we're just on the start of that journey. The second of the 3 points that really resonated was to guard against being inconsistent. So to have, your place of warmth where you're very, very welcoming, and then the rest of the week, when you're bumping into people who perhaps dropped in, just not really having the time of day. So that was another important part of the culture. And also what came across in the course was another word, incomplete, to guard against being incomplete in terms of not just offering a warm space and a warm meal, but actually engaging with faith and not being shy about sharing who we are, and why, in a sense, why we're doing this, and how our relationship with God has impacted us, and how we'd love to pass that on. So that was really the cultural side. So we were quite keen on getting the team really sort of together on all of that. So what else were the questions? A struggle? Well, yeah. So we've run it for 4 weeks now. We initially put it on Facebook, and I'm not on Facebook because I don't really understand these things, but apparently 2,500 people saw it, and various key local organizations shared this, including doctors' surgeries. And we just felt, wow, this could be inundated. So we held back from actually sending any flyers or posters. But the first session 4 weeks ago, 2 people came, and that's when we realized, actually,
in addition to the volunteers.
Oh yes, yeah. The team of 2 people. So I guess that the struggle has been sort of getting word out to a degree where we're not panicking that we're going to be overwhelmed, but also recognizing that perhaps a lot of people who are isolated may not be on social media. So it's trying to connect, with people who are going to appreciate the warm meal and the warm space the most, without being inundated with too many. So it's that juggling game. So we've done 4 now. So last night's one, we were probably over 40. So it has grown pretty rapidly. Most people that are coming are saying we're going to come back and we're going to bring others. So yeah, I mean, say it again.
Not church.
Not church people. Yeah. So I guess faster than exponential growth is what we've seen, which is a challenge, because you when you're catering and when you're trying to set up. Yeah. So the final bit of the question was any advice. So I think when we started it out, it was being very clear with the why question. Why are we doing this? I mean, it's absolutely lovely to provide a warm space and a warm meal, which in a sense is enough. But I guess we wanted to wrestle through even further with that why, and bring a faith element into it. And ultimately the why as well is to introduce people to Jesus, which is part of our why. Also, I think what we found is just the power of asking open questions, really, sat over a meal with people. Everybody has a story to tell, and without being too probing, it's just been lovely so far hearing people tell their stories, and often, you know, with tears in their eyes as they talk about struggles and things that have happened. Yeah, I just think that's an incredible opportunity to sit over a meal, you know, just with a few gentle questions that bring a whole story out of somebody's life. You know, maybe that they haven't told that for quite a while. Also, another encouraging point has been connecting other people. You know, people have come along who are near neighbours, never met each other, and, you know, just to recognise that there's a connection, and you leave them chatting and befriending. Just last night we had actually a Ukrainian lady and a son come early to help with the cooking, and then another Ukrainian lady came to the meal. They'd never met, but both here obviously in recent months, and that was just, I mean, it was, you know, some of us were
There's quite a few tears.
tearing up as, you know, as they met and shared their story together. And finally, I think just another bit of advice is not to be afraid of offering prayer, and you know, always obviously say, you know, I'll pray for you, but sometimes to actually say, you know, can I pray for you now? And yeah, again, last night there was a situation where somebody actually asked if I would pray for them, which, you know, which is a lovely end to a conversation, really. So yeah, I think always to be open to bringing God into the room, as well as the lovely warm atmosphere and the warm meal.
Thank you, Andy. Caroline, would you like to share where you're up to? And any thoughts?
Yeah, okay, I wasn't expecting that, and you're all in kind of church leadership roles, whereas I'm not. So I'm here in more of a fact-finding vein. So I'm not sure whether I can add much to what you've already said. We have got a really lovely group called Welcome Social that we've been running for nearly 3 years now, and that is advertised as adults only, because we've got baby and toddler groups, and we've got after school clubs, but this one is really aimed at people who are adult and above. And it's been absolutely amazing. It has grown gently, so it was, like you said, Andy, quite a small group to start with, but it has grown hugely. So yesterday we had 50 people in, which is amazing. And it's open from 9 till 12, so people can just come in and out and have their hot drinks and things. But also, it's really lovely to hear your stories, because it's nice to know that it's happening in other places too, because we've the same. It was one lady really who was carrying the load, but gradually other people have been stepping up, and that's both people from the church family, but also people who've come from outside of church that we didn't know, who just came in because they were lonely and they needed somebody just to chat to, really, and somewhere that was welcoming. But they are now also serving the drinks, or doing the washing up and things like that, which has been an absolute joy. And I can't remember whether it was Johnny, whether it was you that said it, but starting with something small and then building gradually. I was just thinking, well, maybe we're better to start. We're considering doing warm meals for older people, and we've had a kitchen upgrade and a grant with regards to that. And it's a little bit tricky because we're without a vicar, but our interim vicar has said it's good to consider doing it because we planned it anyway. But maybe the good place to advertise it initially is at Welcome Social, where we already have a lot of older people who are coming from outside the community, and it's advertised on a banner outside church. So some of them are coming by on the mobility scooter, and they see the banner and they think, I'm going to give it a go. And like you said, sometimes they loiter outside, so it's just, I can see from my office where they're coming in. So that's I'm just going to go and, you know, just say it's okay to come in. Maybe they're the ones that could start by coming to the meal, and perhaps it might go out from there. I don't know. It's interesting when you're saying you didn't advertise too much and then thought, actually, maybe we need to advertise more. So I think that's where we are. We're completely unsure about doing this meal for older people in the community, because do we advertise? How do you advertise as well? Because they don't have email, or they don't do texting, as you said. So this has been really, really helpful, although I don't think I can tell you what you haven't already said. I've been making copious notes here to take back to church family. So I think I feel really encouraged by what you've all been sharing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I would say, Caroline, I don't know if you've heard of the Growing Good course from CUF.
No, I wanted to ask about that.
It's a free course. You can sign up to it and run it for free. They just ask that you let them know that you're running it and what the plan is with it. It really is quite a helpful course, just in making people think about aspects of doing something together in terms of social action.
Okay.
So I would encourage you to do that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, I want to look into it. Do they have their own website then? Is that a charity, or is it a Church of England
Should I
thing?
send the link, Ruth? I'm happy to.
Yes,
send it.
please.
Thank you. That would be great. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. It's so good to chat to people. We are going to wrap up now.
Okay.
Just from a viewpoint, Wendy's got to dash over to Church House and she's hosting. But I just want to say, yes.
Can I just ask one thing that might be useful to people watching? And it's something that Andy said about numbers growing. Have you got an idea of what will happen if you get too many people showing up? What do you do? What do you do at that point? Or don't you know yet?
Good question.
Yeah, in the back of my mind, this concept of hot desking, maybe hot tabling. I don't know,
Okay.
just get people in and out a little bit. Yeah, I think we just have this feeling that we can't turn anyone away.
No.
Yeah, that's
even
so
though
true.
it's free. So somehow we just have this hope that we'll be able to feed everybody somehow.
Okay.
Last night we were literally adding on table on table on table on table. And it was like, oh, more people are coming in. Okay, another table. More people got another table. And desserts, right? What we're going to do? Fortunately, we had some meringues left over. Right, pull out the meringues. Peaches. So it was.
Yeah.
I think planning ahead, just to have meals that we can quickly scrape together for people who arrive a bit later.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah.
And it's praying about it too, isn't it? And trusting that if there's
That
a
helps,
need,
actually.
there's a need, that God will provide for that need, even if it seems frenetic in the moment.
Yeah.
He is faithful.
Yeah. Brilliant. So let's pray. Does anyone want to say anything else?
No.
Anything to
Jerry,
add?
thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it's really helpful. It's helpful to us. And as CLT, it's helpful, isn't it, Wendy, to hear what people are doing and hear these stories. So thank you so much for your time this afternoon. And we'll just close in a prayer. Father God, I just thank you for each person on this screen, each person representing churches and communities and people that we long to see helped and reached and fed and watered and just listened to. I just really pray that you'd help each of us where we are, where you've planted us uniquely as we seek to reach out to the needs of those around us. I pray that you'd give us encouragements. I pray that you'd give us strength to keep going when actually it can be really quite thankless at times. But we just really pray that we would have some wonderful stories to share over the coming months of what you're doing in people's lives through us as we seek to bring your light into those dark places. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you all very much. Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.